Hi, and welcome to the HomemadeBee.com. My name is Brittany. This video will introduce the 4 basic stitches you need if you've purchased a kit or you're ready to start stitching on your own. Once you have threaded your needle and secured the end with a basic knot, you're now ready to begin stitching. I have drawn some test stitches on this fabric and have already started some stitches. We're going to start down here with the French knot, followed by a back stitch, then a lazy daisy, and a shaded stitch. I prefer to hold my needle in my left hand and secure my hoop with my right, since I'm left-handed, but whatever hand feels comfortable to you is your preference. It doesn't change how the stitch is done. Also, be sure that you are putting your needle in the bottom and working your way to the top. If you put your needle through the top and out through the bottom, all of these back bits will end up showing. They'll give you problems and they're really hard to hide. We're going to work up here with a shading stitch. It will look like this when you're finished. This is kit number 1 for those of you who have purchased kits. If you're interested in kits, we do sell them at thehomemadebee.com. Here I've drawn a little moon and I've already started on the end. Depending on your stitch, you can work down, you can work across, you could do a combination of both. I like to work sideways. It helps me keep my stitches straight, but really, like most things in stitching, it's your preference. Once again, I'm putting my needle through the bottom, pulling all the way through till I hit the knot, and then I'm coming over and I'm getting as close to the edge of this stitch as possible and pulling through. Once again, all the way. Pull till you hit the back and the end. You want to be sure that you're not yanking the fabric, you're slowly guiding it in. If you yank it, you're going to create holes in your fabric and then it will start to pucker. And by the end of it, you'll have these little lines. It's just not great. Plus, you'll wear yourself out. So pull. Your stitches will get longer as your shape gets bigger. I'll do one more. Notice that mine are curving. That is totally fine. It'll work out. Okay, to secure it, I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to place my knot all the way through, pulling it through the ring. My hand is going where to exactly where my thread came out of the fabric, and I'm just going to pull. It makes a little knot. I'm going to take my scissors and cut. You want to be sure that you leave just a little bit of extra thread or else you're not going to have a way to secure it. I'm going to tie my knot again and move on to the next stitch. This next stitch is personally my favorite stitch. It's called a lazy daisy. It looks like this when you're finished. It makes great flower petals or leaf petals, and honestly it's the most fun I think to do. So I've started one here. To do another one, I'm going to put my needle in through the thread, and I'm going to start it a little bit down from my other stitch. Doesn't have to be perfect. But push it through the fabric and stop once I hit that knot. I'm going to put it back here where the next stitch was and pull it through. This makes the little stem area of it. I'm going to decide if I want my leaf to go this way or this way. I think it's fun to alternate them. So this part will be facing this way. I'm going to put my needle as close as I can to the little stem that I made and pull it through. Then I'm going to put it back in the hole, like I'm going to rip the stitch out. I'm going to hold this side and drag it all the way. I'm going to reinsert my needle where I want the stitch to stop, and I'm going to pull it through. And then right here where the stitch stops, I'm going to put my thread through. It's a leaf. I'll do one more. Poke my needle through the top, pull it tight. Secure my thread with my thumb, put the needle back in and pull just a smidge. You don't have to secure it with your thumb. You can just pull the fabric. I like to secure it so my thread doesn't start to wrinkle. You don't get weird knots. Pick where I want my little leaf to end, how big I want it to be. Put my needle back through the loop and pull until they meet. And it'll be kind of taut. I'm going to put my needle on the other side of the leaf and pull it through. And you can see that it make a little bridge. And there you have it, a lazy daisy. Just secure it once again, turn it over, make a little loop like you're tying your shoe. Needle goes through the thread, finger goes to the opening where the thread is, and pull. And then take your scissors. If that is not working for you, I'll show you another option on this. I've cut it off pretty long. I'm going to separate the two pieces of thread, and then just like I'm tying my shoe, over, through the hole, and pull. It's not as pretty, but it will do the job. Okay, we're now at this line, and we're going to do a back stitch. If I had to pick the most basic, always used stitch, it would be the back stitch. No matter what you're doing, you're going to do it. It makes great outlines. It also makes great lettering, and it will look like this when you're finished. This is kit number 3 for those of you who have purchased a kit. As you can see, you can do various lengths. You can also make X's, do a little shading. It's very versatile. So once again, I'm going to start it just a little bit further down, same as we did with the lazy daisy. I'm going to poke the fabric through, pull it all the way till I hit the end of my thread, the little needle knot, and I'm going to put it right next to the corner of the first thread. Be careful when you're doing this that you're pulling the needle and not the end of your thread. And I'm going to gently pull it. Remember, we're not yanking the thread or pulling it really tight so you don't get holes right here on the sides. One more time. In through the needle. Pull really gently and back through. This is called a back stitch because you're starting from a further point and going backwards. The goal is to get it to be pretty straight and even, but when you're starting out, don't worry, they will be kind of all over the place. It just takes practice. When I'm finished, I'm going to turn it over, make a little loop, hold down the top of it, and pull. Cut it off. Then I'm going to loop the string around my finger very loosely, pull the loop, and pull. Just like you were teaching someone to tie their shoes. I'm going to show you one more thing. Before, we did our shading stitch, and if I wanted to finish this, say if I had some stray stitches here that looked kind of funky, I can use this back stitch to fill it in and create a straight line for myself. So here, I didn't fill in the moon all the way, so I'm just going to pull it through and create myself a little stitch at the diagonal. The first stitch always goes forward. The second stitch, you start from the back. That's just my personal trick. You can always start the thread from the back, but I like to start the first one from the front. So once again, up. And it's just nicely filling in that gap that I missed. Create my little knot. And cut. Don't worry if your back is not perfect. My backs never are. There'll be a video on how to fix that next. Down here, let's practice doing a French knot. This is one that's already been done. And this is what it looks like all together. It creates a nice little texture, and also it's a fun little knot. Depending on what size you want is how many times you wrap the thread around. So once again, poke it through the bottom, up through the top. I'm going to put my needle down here, and I'm going to wrap it 3 times. 3 times will give you a medium-sized knot. If I want a bigger knot, I wrap it more. If I want a smaller knot, I wrap it less. A trick that I found helps is if I hold the side of this securely, it won't give me a weird little top. I'm going to put my needle back through the fabric. Be careful not to get the needle and the knot at the end of your thread, or else it'll be impossible to pull through. I'm going to gently pull it through the side and pull. When you're first starting out, it may have a little dome that didn't go all the way through. Make sure that you wrap the fabric pretty tight on your needle to avoid that, and then hold the side. So up through the top. Take it, and right here, it's pretty tight. I'm pulling pressure on this hand as well as this hand, so my thread doesn't have a chance to get weird on me. Poke the needle through, pull the thread with your opposite hand, and then pull the needle through. I'll do one more. Up through the top. 1, 2, 3. Pressure on both hands. And then pull through. And see, they're various sizes. It's all good. Take my needle, go through the hole and up, finger on the end, and pull. And there you have a French knot. If you've enjoyed this video, would like to shop Homemade Bee products, would like to get inspiration for your next project, or would like to watch more tutorials, please visit me at thehomemadebee.com, on Instagram @homemadebee, or on Pinterest @homemadebee. Thanks for watching.